Beachhead, I want to talk to you about your deodorant.
What do you mean? I don't use deodorant.
That's what I want to talk to you about.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next exciting installment in Arise, Serpentor, Arise. I love imitating that narrator dude from the G.I. Joe cartoons. And joining me for part 3 of the 5-part epic saga of Serpentor's creation is the Patreon tribe. Let's introduce everybody here. Maddie, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Excellent. And Bob is here from the Bob Squad. How you doing?
I can't complain, man. Jumping off the walls, bouncing off the ceiling, never giving up. Staying to the fights. Let's have a good time, Daddy.
Hey, I tried to invite a singing land shark to this thing, and he said if you were on, I don't even want to get into it. Never mind. Mate Mylar is here from Halifax. How you doing?
Good day, sir. I'm well. How are you?
Excellent. Loving the pictures. Just saw the new one you put up today. Fantastic G.I. Joe pictures. Definitely want to check out. Made on Instagram. And from the Isle of Man, it's the Isle of Man. Eric, how you doing?
Good evening. Thank you. I'm doing great.
So happy you're here to join me too. We've done so many of these commentaries in the past, and this is an epic one. We're on part 3 right now, all queued up at 0. It is on Hasbro's YouTube channel. Link is going to be in the description. You can also find it on Tubi. I believe it's there as well. Lots of free ways to watch it. Don't sweat it if you get caught by a commercial. We don't do exact like football play-by-play or hockey play-by-play on this. It's just kind of more things that inspire discussion. We're all queued up here. Everyone ready for the countdown?
Ready, Freddy.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, play. And the flag attacks. It's a pretty one-sided battle of USS Flag versus the Terror Drome.
Hey, they're sci-fi.
It's pretty cool that they snuck the flag into the 86 intro, even though it was an 85 toy. You think there were many shelf-warming flags back in the day?
I don't ever remember seeing like more than like 1 or 2 at any given Toys R Us.
That's the funny thing about the flag. They sold. Scaling the Terror Drome. Poor Iceberg. What an like a diverse set of outfits on these dudes. You got Quick Kick, who's shirtless, and Iceberg, who's in a parka.
Yeah. It was always really obvious in the G.I. Joe movie. And the snow attack in the first thing.
Get the little recap of what's happened here.
Now this, I remember once seeing this. This was the first I'd ever heard of the idea of like cloning.
Yeah.
Did anybody know what that was before this?
I think a lot of people, it was their introduction to deoxyribonucleic acid. For, cartoons like, love them, right? Flintstones and Jetsons and He-Man, but no one got that heavy into the science. And just hearing about DNA and this idea of piecing together the ultimate warrior, really, going through all these famous leaders is such a cool concept. Where previously they had done, you got to go find the MacGuffin, or some people insist that a MacGuffin has no use. It's just a useless thing you're after. I've always just called anything that they're going after a MacGuffin, but for those people, I'll say buried treasure. And it was an interesting concept that this time they're not just going after the elements for the mass device or the cubes or whatever the parts of the Pyramid of Darkness, but they're going for pieces of a dude. Like there's part of them here and part of them there, and they're basically, this is a Build-A-Figure, this series.
that's awesome.
Ultimate Build-A-Figure series. Wouldn't that be I was going to say awesome, but infuriating probably for Classified if Serpentor was a Build-A-Figure.
That would be clever, actually. That's a great
It'd be
idea.
infuriating. The seller, I think the way to avoid the outrage is if like it's an arm, but also one of those DNA cases that says Napoleon, and then a torso that says Genghis Khan. Like if you actually get the piece, that might be a little easier to take and motivate people to actually put the figure together. Because I can't remember the last Build-A-Figure I actually built. It might have been Metal Gear Rex from McFarlane Toys. I generally just am left with like a giant thigh and a giant arm and throw it in a bin somewhere.
Were you surprised by the just showing corpses or skeletons, or this series has some kind of rotting bodies or that kind of thing? It actually, I was a little surprised they got away with that on the cartoon.
That is surprising.
They
Sometimes the language used it wasn't as G-rated as Filmation was. Lou Scheimer was very, very cognizant of that. He didn't want anything like that. Not to say, He-Man still had good action in it, but G.I. Joe and Transformers got away a little bit more with, we're going to get killed, or even like a trickle of blood in G.I. Joe the movie and Duke's chest showing blood.
Yeah,
Sure.
They pushed the envelope a lot more. And then when you're watching humanoids, skeletons and corpses and all that stuff was just every episode.
Well, that was the thing about reading the comics was it was shocking, even after just seeing the animation when you read the comics, how adult those were.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys were actually getting permanently killed. The rule in comics is no one's really dead. Well, Larry Hama has something to say about that concept. Yeah. If you're dead, you're dead. They have brought a few guys back, but quite a few of them, like Doc, is deader than Disco.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. That's why I'm especially glad I'm in episode 3, because my favorite line in G.I. Joe Sunbow history is in this episode.
Oh,
and
really?
Cobra Commander says it right after he's better than Disco.
Do you ever do that on stage? Just kind of congratulate yourself?
Not even close. Not even close.
Get to see the Devilfish versus the Hydrofoil here.
There we
Any
go.
plans on recreating this battle scene, mate?
there should be. That's all I can say.
It'd be
Need some more
amazing to
Devilfish,
see.
though.
It'd be amazing to see Leatherneck and Wetsuit just punching each other while they're each in a Devilfish.
That's a great idea.
I brought this up with Buzz, the guy who wrote the damn thing, talking about how I don't believe the Joes really bickered in the previous seasons. It seemed as though when they joined G.I. Joe, they left their past behind them, and there wasn't really much chest pounding about the Marines or the Rangers. It was just, no, that was then. I am now a G.I. Joe. That's what's important now. Yeah. And it's in 86 in this 5-parter where that becomes a thing, where these guys, even though they're current G.I. Joes, Wetsuit's all about the SEALs, and Leatherneck's all about, no, the Marines. And they don't really have that new patriotism for G.I. Joe. They're still really entrenched in their previous military careers.
That was interesting. You didn't hear many real military units be mentioned. One of the rare exceptions, of course, in one of my favorite episodes, the Viper, where they go to, West Point, and the cadets are there, and they put over the cadets and had them thwart Major Blood's infantry and whatnot. You didn't see a whole lot of it. I mean, that probably kills the international vibe, I guess.
Yeah.
But to suggest they were from somewhere is always nice. I heard in episodes 1 or 2 of this series, I think it's the first episode of this series, Mainframe mentions Vietnam.
Yeah. Yeah, to avoid the 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the aspects of the character, that he's old. He got into computers late. So, that was surprising. We got a pair of seals here. It's really cool to see Torpedo and Wetsuit together, the two seals. Mm-hmm. But Wetsuit's the, seals rule, and Torpedo's the, I don't care who signs the paycheck. It doesn't matter to me. So cool to get an underwater battle. Always the highlights of G.I. Joe for me.
You must have loved the original G.I. Joe movie then.
They made a live action movie?
Nice. I like that answer.
If you're talking about Rise of Cobra, I thought it was arguably the greatest film ever made.
That
Of course.
It was arguably the greatest G.I. Joe movie ever made that year. The Triple T. Sergeant, we forgive it, I think. Most of us Joe fans forgive it because it's Sergeant Slaughter's chariot, basically.
Right.
Well, that was my only version of Sergeant Slaughter I had. I had the triple. I'd gotten the Triple T with the Sergeant Slaughter. I loved it. I always thought that was a great little thing. I always liked those kind of small vehicles, whether it was G.I. Joe or Star Wars or whatever.
I never had it. I had the mail away, but once I finally did get the Triple T some years back, I thought, yeah, it's basically the tank version of Sarge. It's this giant, thick, big. I just wish they could hold a few more guys for how big and bulky it is. Although at the same time, the Slugger is one of my favorites. It doesn't have a single foot peg on it, I don't think. At least the Triple T has one foot peg on each side. I'm always wishing the Triple T had one more foot peg so it could carry the 3 Renegades. Always have to end up having Mercer straddle the top, and it looks kind of lame.
I was also just like Eric. I had the Sarge with the Triple T, and that's when you don't care about details. So a third guy would always just stand in the engine because that's a safe place to put your feet. It worked.
Or under it. It should have a little backpack peg underneath, like the shark. Just attach him under the Triple T. Oh, here we go. These guys aren't robots. I better pull my punches. Taking on a whole squad of Cobras himself. This is amazing. He's like a Terminator.
Oh, he's the greatest. I might even be a few seconds off. I'm on so some troopers just fell out of a Night Raven type looking thing, but that's okay.
I'm right there with you, Bob.
Okay, I'm not doing too bad then.
Strato Vipers.
My trigger was way off, and hey, it happens. They're tackling a Sarge. Okay, well, they're having a good time.
Get to see an airplane spin there in a second.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's the only wrestling move we saw in this. Even though he was a wrestling superstar, I'm glad they didn't go overboard on the wrestling moves. Like a gut wrench power bomb, okay, I guess. But if they just kept on at it, some wrestling or some movies do that. Just way too many wrestling moves. I don't want to see a knee lift in a movie.
Right. Or
unless
even
it's Mr. Wrestling too.
When they smash it home too much, like I love Peacemaker with John Cena, that show on HBO Max, but when they have to make a wrestling joke to John Cena, like, okay, we know, and it has to be anti-wrestling and goofing on him, and he has to play along, but I'm sure he's fine with it.
And at this point, Sarge is completely, Sarge is a G.I. Joe. There's really no tongue-in-cheek wrestling jokes whenever Sarge is discussed with G.I. Joe. It's just he is a G.I. Joe. I don't look at this character here on the screen and go, oh, the wrestler. They morphed him into something more, into an actual, basically Captain America, a military superhero. And luckily, the voice matches. So some people say that's not what Sarge looked like in wrestling. No, not at all. He was a titan. He's he's a tall guy. He wasn't built quite like that, but the voice matches. That's the important thing. He had the voice of a big gargantuan military Hulk. 100%. And this right here. Where you guys at right now?
He's getting shot in a trouble bubble.
We are. I'm right back to where they're kind of debriefing.
Yeah, hitting on the debrief now.
Okay.
I'm a little behind.
So it's Sarge that is the reason Serpentor isn't perfect. He's not the perfect soldier, and he basically saved the world. That just by the skin of his teeth, he was able to thwart gaining that DNA.
Do you think Serpentor, I guess we haven't talked about much, do you think his character would have benefited from possibly being part Sarge DNA? Would that have given them more stories to do, or given Sarge a little something more personal to go after?
That I actually brought it up. I think I brought it up to Buzz. That would have been interesting. Absolutely would have been interesting. But at the same time, I don't know how I would have felt as a kid knowing Serpentor had a bit of Sarge's DNA. It would have just felt a little wrong to me. Like to take a, it's one thing to take a guy who's been dead for hundreds of years. He's more of like a relic and like a statue, a monument. But to take a living dude's DNA and use his own DNA against G.I. Joe just seems more like something you would do today, like in a modern animation or movie. But back then it was akin to just wrong, icky and wrong, you know, like a real I'm looking for the right word here.
The Joker being in the Batcave, like that, kind of like too sacrilegious, like you get out.
Well, it's like taking one of the Joe's moms and turning her into like an evil assassin for Cobra permanently. Like it's just that seems wrong to do that. So it's a really cool. That's it. Desecration. Excellent word. It's a great story idea to get him and let's do this. But I was happy at the time and I still am that they didn't succeed. Wow. Cool to see General Hawk commanding. What's that?
They said they required a rather large sample. Look at those tanks.
Why are you so bloody cheerful? With Sergeant Slaughter's DNA, I will have...
Do you know, that would actually be a pretty fun little thing to like make as a little display prop. Is there's like a box with a bunch of little vials with all the same characters like Genghis Khan and Napoleon, and just have that on a shelf. And no comment.
It's a good idea.
I don't know if anyone's made this comment already, but statistically, shouldn't most of these soldiers have Genghis Khan DNA in them already?
That's a good point.
Wasn't he known for that's the right way to phrase this. Well, whatever. Just Genghis Khan DNA everywhere.
Can I tell a really funny story that's like anecdotal? That's kind of silly. Do you guys mind?
Not at all.
So we did one of those like a couple of years ago. The entire family did one of those ancestry.com ones, and so everybody's came up like basically mine and almost everybody else's was like Scottish, Northern European, Welsh, and English, right? And almost exactly where we know that our whole family's from. Well, my brother got his back, and he had something like 3% Jamaican, and he was like, "Well, I'm 3% Jamaican," and we were like, unless mom like didn't tell us something, that's impossible because. Yeah. I have the exact same thing, and there's no possible way you could have random Jamaican DNA. So it was like either there's a big family secret nobody's telling us, or that's wrong.
That's entirely fine.
Yeah.
I don't ask.
Yeah. No ask, don't tell.
No, totally. I've always questioned those things, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think some interns are just like, put in whatever. This is boring. Stop telling everyone they're Dutch or Welsh, but just, you know what? Yeah. Put a little Jamaican in there. We never use it. It's over there. Right. Make it interesting.
Just a small drop here. There we go.
Yes, that's what people are paying for, to find out they're part something that they didn't think they were. So give them what they wanted.
Well, they really make the Havoc the star in some of these episodes. I think it was just released that year, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Havoc and Tomahawk year for the good guys. So yeah, there's plenty of this whole season is Tomahawk heavy, which I love because I love the Tomahawk.
Yeah, that's a great one.
So many play options.
Seize this, Honkus.
The green shirts are still around in this. I'm surprised. I thought for some reason in my head I thought they didn't stick around much in the cartoon, but they are there.
Say or do will stop it. Nothing. You have a way with words, Mindbender.
Mindbender is such a perfect new addition to the team. He just fits right in there with the Destro character of someone to just always bicker at, accuse. Someone's always questioning leadership skills.
And it works because he's smarter than Cobra Commander, and he's not worried about his job. Mindbender doesn't seem there's no sniffling or what have you, and
We can fall
Dexter
back
is
on the dental work, right? Isn't he an orthodontist or something like that?
yeah, he had something going on.
That's a great one.
And I think there was did he do Deader Than Disco yet? Actually, I don't have volume on mine.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't want to turn it up and then create an echo because my headphones are
Yeah,
goofy.
I think he just did it. I think he
Okay. Well, it's an excellent line. If for those of you,
Disco.
I like that. I would have made an excellent stand-up comedian. What a beautiful, beautiful inside joke, which is not an inside joke at all to guys like us, but still, for at the time, I love that kind of stuff.
And it's better than flatter than a plate full of pee.
Yeah, well, I like that one too.
Whoa, are they in a night? No, they're not a Night Raven. Triple T, he's got a lot of them.
Yeah. Is that Triple T a little undersized?
I thought so, or maybe he's oversized.
Yeah, that one looked a little comically. That was a funny shot. Like
I love this. Sorry.
He crammed it to a smart Triple T. It was a newer one. It was a little tinier and cozier, and half on electricity.
It's one of those Teslas.
Yeah,
Tesla Triple T. That's quadruple T then.
yeah.
I love all these little moments where Sarge really shines in this, though. It's like, this is what his like third fight,
Totally. He just surfed the coffin into the sky.
How could you not love this character? Took out 100 bats in the first episode. Oh, more bats. I love these things. They're delicious.
It does kind of kill the effect of the bats, really. Like in episode 1, they're already fodder, so it's like, but still makes you want to beat them up.
It actually says that on the file card, I believe, or in one of the bios somewhere. Like they are, I always just, I thought they were designed for attack, infantry, cheap infantry, or I guess expensive infantry, but they can't die. But no, they're fodder. They're meant to use up ammo and cover escape. And did anyone believe for a second that the bats were going to get the better of Sergeant Slaughter on this cliffhanger?
No.
Yeah, doubtful.
And then the following episode, Sarge goes up against the proto Serpentor, the mindless beast.
Yeah, the big pile of goo there.
How different would it have been if they just went with that? If they said, "Okay, I guess that's our leader. Put a cape on him."
Oh, that would be terrible.
Where's the Super 7 reaction figure of that thing?
I'm glad they had clothes ready for Serpentor. I think in episode 5, I guess, when he eventually shows up. How long are they going to keep this going? Like everyone has to hail Serpentor or whatever, but at the same time, they're like, "Do not look down. Just look at the eyes."
If you're watching on Hasbro, there's a PSA.
Yes,
Great
I am, yeah.
PSAs are put back into these episodes of General Hawk saying, Hold up, you little idiots.
Yeah, that's a train.
If they were to update them, they should totally do that these days. You got to be the stupidest kids I've ever seen. Put a jacket on. It's winter.
The Saturday night or the Saturday morning IDW comics kind of have their tongue in cheek for the PSAs at the end of each issue.
I want them to still have some good advice, like not just pork chop sandwiches or body massage. Like those are still sneak something in there, but I guess, more appropriate for today's snark-filled world.
Yeah. Don't use your real name on the internet.
I think today's PSAs, the kids would just be snarky back to the advice. Like they would just correct Gung Ho and Roadblock and tell them, well, actually,
Blowtorch comes out. Let me give you some tips about fire safety, and the kids have little like lighters and fireballs and stuff. Actually, Blowtorch runs into HQ crying. What's wrong, Blowtorch? Those little brats, they're so mean.
If they just correct the phraseology of everything that Joe says and miss the entire point, would be wonderful. They snark, go, okay, boomer. They do one of those, and then and Hawk is just standing there like with his helmet in his hand, so to speak. What? And then roll credits. There.
Kids today. Well, that was a great episode for kids of yesterday, and still a fun one to watch these days. Got to go with it. If you go with it, you can laugh and just enjoy the. It's like a comic book come to life at this point with Sergeant Slaughter in it. And then especially in the 5th episode when Serpentor is introduced, it is totally like a Marvel superhero showdown when the two of them start destroying property all around them. It's like Hulk versus Hulkbuster.
Well, it impresses me just seeing this, like, because I don't think I've seen this since the 80s. I don't think so. I don't think, they didn't replay G.I. Joe very often. But it's interesting how many like forward-thinking ideas that they presented in these cartoons. Like I remember wasn't there another one where they were bringing back dinosaurs? I mean, obviously it was well before Jurassic Park, even the Crichton novel. Wasn't there one that they? I wanted to say there was one, and then there have been a couple. Yeah, there are a couple other episodes, and I mean, just I don't know if I can pull them, out of my head right away, but I remember some concepts that they'd kind of discussed or brought or gone over or developed, like the cloning thing. I don't think I'd ever heard of that, and I think I was 9 when this came out.
Yeah, DNA.
Yeah,
the spiral of life.
Mm-hmm.
That was
really in the same series. The mayor of Paris. Personally, I don't know why he personally came outside, but it was the first time we saw a government of the world or whoever tell G.I. Joe. That's so. No one else works in Paris. No,
what about Honest Gurgi? Wasn't he some sort of official?
I think so. Yeah. But to see any government institution say no to G.I. Joe, to see any world government say no, G.I. Joe, we either don't want you here or you have to do it our way, and to watch. I guess General Hawk turned around and go, well, only all strikers. We can't bring the Mobats or Maulers or whatever it was into Paris, and that was that, which started a long history of G.I. Joe always just beating the jeepers out of Paris for some reason.
Yeah, that character has such a following. That mayor of Paris.
Yeah,
I wasn't aware of this, but it sounds like he's got almost as big a following as the Vindo Viper.
Wow.
Yeah. Super 7, take note. Reaction mayor of Paris.
Just no one look up who it actually was. Just mayor of Paris is the character.
The only guy who was able to stop G.I. Joe tanks, a fleet of tanks. No.
That is ridiculous. What a wonderful series, though.
Yeah, it really is.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, buddy.
Good pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you for being part of the Patreon tribe. Much appreciated.
My pleasure.
And thank you, everyone out there, for listening along. A couple of plugs here. Eric is on Instagram. Want to check out his art at Uncle Deluxe Art. Working on anything?
I've been so busy. I really haven't.
Yeah.
Actually, I've been editing some video for you lately. that I'll
That's gonna
have
be
for you
fun.
very, very soon. So yeah, that'll be fun to do.
Looking forward to that. Flipping the script, and we're going to be going through one of Eric's local toy shops. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Mate Millar on Instagram. Always awesome photography on there. I'm going to don't give any spoilers, but some hints on what's to come.
I've got a tomahawk in a precarious location
Ooh.
coming up.
Oh, how beautiful. Vintage or modern?
Vintage.
Ah, beautiful. Beautiful. Bob Squad, you are all over the place. You're like, what was that guy's name who was working on Saturday Nights Live? Dick Ebersol, you're everywhere.
Yes. Our Saturday Night's main event. Saturday Night Live is Lorne Michaels.
Oh, right. Yeah, Saturday Night's main event.
That's a totally different show.
Totally different.
That's okay. I was all over that.
You're on Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram and Twitter at Bob Hansen Jokes, stand-up comedy dates in the event that you watch this and you happen to live in San Diego, in California, in America, on Earth. But the Bob Squad YouTube channel has several fun boxings and some stop motion, play motion, Sun Bob adventures. I'm working on an Aquaman G.I. Joe crossover right now, which is why I'm a little low on sleep, but having a whole bunch of fun doing it. So I'm around.
And for wrestling fans, the hardest part of the ring podcast is on there too.
Thank you. Yes, I have a wrestling podcast, and I guess a job I go to sometimes, but at this rate.
Matt's smarter than all of us. He's more careful about his internet usage. You can see him on fan groups here and there, but he doesn't really put anything out there that people can actually correct him on. But Matt, sometimes you work on like little customs projects, dioramas and stuff like that. What do you got going on in your collection room?
Man, right now, I've been on a big Transformers kick lately, so I've been snatching those up, and kind of, it's been a minute since I've really picked up anything Joe. So, but yeah, no, nothing major right now.
That's fine too. I mean, it's important to enjoy what you got instead of always being hunting for something new. And your diorama of the Defiant, which now that I've had one for a while, the most fragile playset ever created. I can't look at it and not think the fragile Defiant, because I just keep breaking it. And it is from like no force, no nothing. It's just, yeah, I opened the door the other day and the gust of wind knocked a gun off. Like it is peanut brittle. But the diorama that you made for years with the snow underneath, I didn't do that with mine, but I love the look of what you did there so much. I actually made an entire new shelf of polar troops for Joe and Cobra. So seeing that, I was like, man, I got to do that. So that inspired a snow shelf, as well as I grabbed some grass for one of my other shelves and put a bunch of tanks on it. It looks so right. Fake like AstroTurf grass mat you get at Home Depot. Right. So yeah, that's a cool thing to do also with if you got a deep enough shelf to do that with your collection. All right, gents, thanks again. Really appreciate you joining me today for the episode, and tune in tomorrow for part 4 of Arise Serpentor Arise, featuring the Slaughter daughter, the daughter of Sergeant Slaughter. Will be watching her dad pounding the snakes, and we'll also be joined by very talented artist Hans Chow as well, another member of the Patreon tribe. I hope you all enjoy that, and you're enjoying Rise Serpentor Arise week here on G.I. Joe June, Yo Joe June. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, Yo Joe!